Cyberia is an action-adventure game originally released for DOS in 1994 and later ported to the 3DO in 1996. Despite being rather dated, even upon release, Cyberia blends pre-rendered graphics, full-motion video, and light puzzle elements together to create a rather interesting science fiction game. Right away, the game does a nice job laying out a narrative. Set in 2027, the world has collapsed and there are just two main powers remaining. The Free World Alliance represents the West, while the Cartel represents the East. It is cliché for sure, but as the game is 20 years old, I'll give it a pass. The West learns the East has a new weapon of mass destruction, dubbed Cyberia, and the leader of the Free World decides to pardon cyber hacker Zack to go get the weapon, and thus the adventure begins. Nearly every element of Cyberia is presented in the first section of the game. After being escorted to a secret island, you actually get to walk around. This basically plays out like a slideshow, with the different directional buttons triggering a video of the character walking, rather than real interaction. Following the voice instructions provided, we reach the first QuickTime event. Pressing the wrong button ends in death, only there is nothing on the screen alerting you to the correct button. There is some trial and error involved, but thankfully there is a fairly generous save system preventing you from having to ever repeat too much of the game when you fail. After getting the hang of navigation and the QuickTime events, another gameplay element is presented. Scattered throughout the game are shooting areas where you control a crosshair and have to take down enemies. It works well enough, but plays as basic as it looks. Once we defend the base from the attack, it is time to navigate to the third floor by taking the elevator. After pressing the misspelled elevator button, we arrive at the hangar. Here, the game's first puzzle is presented. Before starting the game, you have the choice to change the difficulty on the shooting sections as well as the difficulty of the puzzles. The medium puzzle difficulty is actually quite hard, and I honestly have no idea how this puzzle is supposed to work. Basically, you have to use your MRI scanner to reveal the inner workings of a bomb, and then flip switches to disarm it. Disarming the bomb will allow you to take the jet and finally make your way to Cyberia, the region, to intercept Cyberia, the weapon. Before getting to Cyberia, you have to complete a gauntlet of shooting stages. These play out like most other FMV shooters of the era. You control a crosshair while the full motion video plays in the background. It is not the worst thing ever, with some semblance of missions and specific targets needing to be destroyed. These can be challenging at first, but if you repeat a stage a few times, you should be able to memorize where enemies are and avoid having your shield depleted before the mission ends. There are even breaks in the action, showing your craft maneuvering through the environment, which I find to be a nice diversion. With your full set of skills now learned, it's time to infiltrate the enemy base and figure out what the Cyberia weapon is all about. Despite being entirely pre-rendered, the enemy base is laid out logically, and it is fairly easy to make forward progress without getting lost or going in circles. The enemy base also presents one final gameplay element, shootouts. These are cover-based affairs where you have to duck behind objects and only look out and shoot when it is safe. These are rather forward-thinking, and the concept is commonplace in modern gaming. As you progress, sneaking past security guards, solving puzzles, watching voicemails, engaging in shootouts, and participating in the occasional crosshair action stage, the story slowly reveals itself. With each voicemail, it becomes clearer whatever was being developed has slowly gotten out of hand. As we make our way through higher security areas and listen to the medical staff voicemails, we learn experiments with the viral weapons have gone horribly wrong, with the virus taking over hosts and presenting a real problem for humans. The storytelling is good, but not great, and the Russian accents in all of the characters is pretty poor. Still, everything is coherent and it is easy to follow along without things getting needlessly complex. On paper, Cyberia is a decent little adventure game from a bygone era of gaming. The FMV looks dated for sure, but the dialogue isn't half bad and the B-grade voice acting has a certain charm. I like how the developers mixed in third-person wandering, QuickTime events, action sequences, and scripted flight segments into one cohesive experience. Some of the puzzles are quite clever. On the wall of one of the barracks is a picture of Einstein, for example, which is then the password needed for the very next terminal. In another area, you have to open the air vents in a medical room, and then backtrack your way through the ventilation shaft to then reach in and grab the now accessible keycard. Unfortunately, Cyberia is plagued with one major flaw. It just isn't very fun to play. Watching your character walk isn't as fun as controlling your character. Moving a crosshair around the screen isn't as fun as actually flying. And some of the puzzles are beyond me. Cheap deaths are abound if you don't play the game in the exact order you are supposed to. The timing can be far too difficult as well. It took me a dozen times to shut this elevator door before the enemy dropped his grenade before I finally got it right. The shootouts are also somewhat clumsy, with ducking for cover being far too slow compared to your enemy's blasts. There are just too many frustrating sequences like this, and it really drags the experience down. I really do appreciate the ambition behind this project, but like many early CD-ROM titles, Cyberia hasn't really aged well. It isn't bad, but is definitely below average. 2 out of 5.